Doing well tonight. Hello, Tawana.
Hello, hello, hello.
I wasn't expecting you tonight.
Here.
So this way. Yes, that's better. Okay, I think we are live on Facebook. We are live. Periscope, YouTube. I'm just checking out right now to see if I can see us in our... yes, I see us here. Okay. Checking out. So we're also here in Zoom. Okay, so you all know how we are. Please put your city and state in the chat for me so we can recognize you. We have a lot of new members this week. We have a lot of new people as part of the Facebook group. We want to say a special thanks to everyone who's interviewed us, from We Buy Black to Pandora to Dana with the data, to everyone that has interviewed us with regards to the 10K project. We're super excited. Please put your city and state in the chat again so we can recognize you. If you are new to tonight and what we do, every Monday evening at 6 o'clock Eastern time, we come on to talk about the 10K project. We introduce you to how the 10K project can help build Black wealth. We introduce you to us as the co-founders of the organization, and we answer your questions. That's our primary thing to do, is to introduce you to what we're doing, talk about how we can benefit the community immensely, answer your questions. So please don't feel shy about that. Asking any questions, that you have, because we want to make sure that you feel comfortable with us. And when you do, we're going to ask you to become a member. So Dr. Keisha's here with the10kproject.com. You can see that there, the10kproject.com. So when you feel comfortable with us, we're going to ask that you please become a member. And if we have time tonight, we're also going to talk about the Black CEO who manages $14 billion in assets. And he talks about some of the discrimination he has experienced in Wall Street and some of the reasons why the 10K project is needed. So if we have enough time, we'll get to that. If not, that's okay, because we're primarily here to answer your questions. So everybody, again, please put your city and state in the chat. Tawana, I don't know if you're in the members group of Facebook. I'm in the primary group.
I'll go to the members now.
Okay, perfect. But I see Connecticut is in the house. I'm seeing, let's see here. I'm seeing Joseph. How you doing, Joseph? I'm seeing Worcester, Massachusetts. I've got Philly, Fredericks, Maryland, Highland, Indiana, Anchorage. Oh, wow. Alaska's in the house. I love it. Americus, Georgia, District Heights, Maryland, Wilmington, Delaware, Little Rock, West Virginia, Nashville, Los Angeles, Harriman, New York. Somebody became a 10K member this weekend. Yay!
Yes.
Dallas, Texas, Buffalo, New York, Charleston, DC. So, Talisha,
they are everywhere. This is awesome.
You want to come up, Talisha? Oh, here, I need to let y'all on. Sorry.
So in the members group, while you're doing that, we've got Atlanta, Ackworth, Georgia. We've got California, Florida, DC, Maryland, Arizona. Okay. We got family everywhere.
Everywhere, yes. And we have a full house with all of our co-founders here too. So super excited to have everyone here tonight. Yeah, I mean, we're growing by leaps and bounds. We cannot thank you enough for your trust. And a couple of interesting things happening is I'm getting a few emails from non-Black people, mostly white people, asking if they can be a part. So I want to say right now, if anyone is not Black Yes, you can be an investor. We are focused on funding Black businesses, but we love all people in regards to being an investor. So, and we also have some detractors on the other side as well. However, God is good, and we're not feeding into any of that. So, we just want to keep it positive over here. We want to do things to uplift our community. We know that we're the least funded group out there. We know that, or we believe, the five of us believe that the answer needs to come from the ground up and not the top down. We appreciate what Robert Smith, billionaire Robert Smith, is doing, trying to do the 2% solution, which we've talked about in the past, where he's trying to get all the Fortune 500 companies to put 2% of their cash into Black banks. However, if they choose not to do that, then what do? Right? The answer is the 10K project. Let's move this thing from the ground up, and that's why we're here tonight. So, Talisha, Eric, welcome this evening.
Hey, good to be here, everybody. Great to be here always.
So,
outside, but
it is hot. Yes.
Oh, you're on mute.
Talisha, on mute.
Yeah, it's about to storm here. So I'm losing power, flickering. So
okay.
if I cut out, you just know it's this. It's not me.
Yeah, same here. It's storming now, so it's really dark outside. So if I cut out, or if the dogs start barking, I apologize.
Now Tawana's dogs are like human. Well, one of them, her girl, is the human. So, all righty then. So we're going to get started because we do like to keep this to an hour, respect everyone's time. So we want to thank everyone for being here tonight. So I'm going to share my screen here, and oops. Let's see here. Okay, and everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty then. So the question is, what is the 10K project, and what is equity crowdfunding, and how can it help build the Black economy? So this is about 10 minutes of a presentation that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to ask my co-founders to chime in and introduce themselves and tell everybody why they're a part of the 10K project. So during the presentation, we are going to describe a few things. Number one is what equity crowdfunding is, so that you understand what the 10K project is and how it works. And this is really how the rich get richer in the United States. Not that we can guarantee any specific returns or anything like that, but this is a part of it in terms of the country. Number two is, how does it benefit? How does equity crowdfunding benefit the Black community? Number three, what are the intangible benefits for the community when we participate in funding Black businesses? And number four is how the 10K project can help build Black wealth. So I was a business plan writer for a decade, still am a business plan writer. I have scaled back significantly, but I have written business plans for a lot of different companies. And I worked with entrepreneurs from a lot of different ethnicities, male, female, everything from technology all the way to restaurants, to a diabetic-friendly barbecue sauce, to everything in between. And one of the things that I would ask people when they would come to me and say, hey, Cherie, I want to write this business plan. You're a business plan writer. Will you do this for me? I would ask them, once we write this business plan, who are you going to present this business plan to? People from other ethnicities would usually say, I've got aunt, I've got uncle, I've got a cousin, I've got the fraternity brother. I've known this venture capitalist for 12 years, and I'm going to go and ask him. People from our community rarely had those contacts. And when I'm talking about, going to talk to aunt and uncle, I would have people say to me, my aunt can give me $100,000 with the stroke of a check, no problem. People from our community, I only had one person from our community who said they could go and get that kind of money, right? It's very rare. So then, our community would say, oh, well, I'm going to go to the bank. sometimes people would bring businesses to me that a bank would not approve, and I knew it. And I've had people, get upset with me and then call me back a few days later and say, you were right. The bank won't approve this type of business. They really needed private investors, but in order to get private investors, you have to have some sort of a relationship with people. And our businesses just aren't getting the capital that they need. So in this process, I was saying to this group of co-founders, I was saying, if 10,000 of us got together, we put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We could start funding our own businesses. And I'm saying this for 3 years. And finally, Tawana in a meeting says to me, when are you going to do something about that? And I at first was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but the group said, hey, you know what, if you do this, we will do it with you. What do you say? And between them and God touching my heart, I said, okay, let's do it. So we're on a mission to help fund Black businesses. There's a McKinsey report, I think it was McKinsey, or Morgan Stanley report that said when our businesses are properly funded, we make just as much profit and we have just as much of a chance of being successful as any other ethnically founded business. So we know that we're intelligent, we know that we're innovative, we know that we're strong people. We just need the capital. And we may not have aunt that can put in $100,000, but if a group of us put in $100 or $200 each, imagine what we could do. And that's the point of the 10K project. So a lot of companies out there start by receiving funding from private investors, and these people make the lion's share of the profit. And there's a little joke here, but America's most famous private investors are, of course, the sharks, right? So if you've ever seen an episode of Shark Tank, you'll have the entrepreneurs come in and they will pitch their companies, and then the sharks ask questions, and then each individual shark decides if they're in or if they're out. Well, equity crowdfunding is kind of the same way, where entrepreneurs come in and they give their business plans, they let people know, hey, this is what I'm doing. And each individual investor has the opportunity to say that if they are in or if they're out. So America does have its most famous private investors, but guess what? There are hundreds of thousands of private investors nationwide. Now, if I were to ask the average Black person, do they know any of these private investors? The answer is most likely no. However, these individuals typically are what's called accredited investors. They have a high net worth, they run in the same circles, and either you have access to them or you don't. So there's a couple of major problems that our businesses have. We are the least likely to get funded. And by the time we, the people, regular people, find out about opportunities to put money into early stage companies where you can get the lion's share of the profits, it's usually too late. We usually find out about it at the IPO, or, we are investing in the stock market. And I'm not telling people not to invest in the stock market. I'm just saying that the lion's share of the profits are made in early investments. So what if we, the people, could earn these types of returns and share in the profits from our own businesses? What would that be like? Well, thanks to the internet and something called the Jobs Act of 2012, Black entrepreneurs have another option to get the money that they need from regular people like us. And it's called the crowd. We are the crowd. And we're able to fund our own businesses. This is a legislation that was signed by President Obama, and for building Black wealth, it is one of the least used pieces of legislation that's out there, and we're about to change all of that. So how does equity crowdfunding work? Just overall, what happens is an entrepreneur works with an equity crowdfunding portal. And right now, a person can raise, or an entrepreneur can raise up to $1,070,000. Now, Congress has voted that companies can raise up to 5 million. However, they're waiting on this to be entered into law. And as soon as that happens, we will let everyone know. But right now, an entrepreneur can raise $1,070,000. Investors review the business plan, they review the terms of agreement, they'll figure out how much ownership that they'll have in the company, they're able to do their due diligence, and then each individual investor can decide, I like this company, I want to put money into it. And then if the company makes it big, the crowd, i.e. we the people, share in the profits. If not, investors only lose what they put into the company. Equity crowdfunding is government regulated. It requires Securities and Exchange Commission, which is the SEC, and FINRA. My joke, which Tawana and I share the same joke, is that there are 3 agencies in the government that will put you in jail. That is the FBI, the IRS, and the SEC. And we don't look cute in those colors of orange. So we have to follow the rules of the government. So there'll be some things that we want to do that we just can't do because it is against the law. And we'll let people know that. But because we're SEC and FINRA approved, or we will be, we have to get fingerprinted as co-founders. We have to have FBI background checks. This is not something you could just jump into and say, hey, I want to do this, right? There are processes to it. But there are some intangible benefits that doing this would bring to the Black community as well. So it's not just about profit and ownership, even though we want to make a profit and we want to be owners in the businesses that we're putting money into. Investing is a family affair. Grandparents can leave generational wealth. Children can participate early because this is going to be a family-friendly environment. They can learn investing and entrepreneurship. And our kids are going to see examples of Black excellence and entrepreneurs that they may have never seen before. So, for example, I never knew that the, what was it? The Black women at NASA, Katherine Johnson and Hidden Figures, right? I never knew they existed until I saw them on the big screen. It just never occurred to me. Well, imagine if your kids are able to see quantum engineering and all sorts of technology and real estate deals and manufacturing and agriculture week after week after week, how it would expand their minds. And then let's say they really like a specific entrepreneur and want to travel with them on their journey. They're able to follow their social media. They're able to see, the SEC requires any business that raises money to provide updates on a periodic basis. And your kids can follow that entrepreneur's journey from startup to massive growth. But that's not the only intangible benefit. Properly funded companies hire. And the #1 employer of Black people is the government. Well, I was going to say something, but let me not. Okay. The #1 employer of Black people is the government. The #2 employer of Black people are Black entrepreneurs. Properly funded companies hire from within the community. Does that mean everyone that's going to be hired is going to be Black? No. But if we're talking about wanting to level off at least the unemployment rate for Black people versus other ethnicities, we've got to start funding our own businesses. And when businesses have great teams of people working with them, they have a better chance of growth. So you can't build $1 billion business or $100 million business by yourself. You have to have the right team members working for you. But the right team members, they're not going to work for free forever. They're going to want to be paid as well. So this is a benefit, another intangible benefit that we have. The following intangible benefit is just that we can uplift our young people and celebrate their ingenuity. And that's really huge for me. And it's really key for me is, leaving something to the next generation. So the 10K Project is a community where Black investors can fund Black businesses for as little as $100. So remember before we talked about the sharks, the sharks usually put in millions of dollars. Well, we don't have millions of dollars individually, but many of us have $100 that we can put into funding a Black business, and doing that several times a year would make a huge difference to the businesses in our community. So when 10,000 of us get together, we put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We can fund our own businesses. We can profit from our own innovation because we'll be owners in those companies, part owners in those companies. We can create jobs, and we can help close the wealth gap. So the way the 10K Project works is we have 3 groups of people. The first group are our investors. And again, our investors are kind of like the sharks, but a lot more friendly. So entrepreneurs are the second group of people. The entrepreneurs will come to the platform. We'll start off with 1 entrepreneur every week. And that person will give us what we call a bet on Black pitch. During that pitch, they're going to describe their company, their product, or service, where they are in the process. Are they a pure startup? Are they, a 30-year company that's expanding? Are they getting into government contracting? Like what is it that they're doing? How much money are they raising? What are they going to use the money for? Who's on their team? How will we get our money back? When will we get our money back? They're going to do a pitch. Usually it's going to be about 30 minutes. And then the crowd, all of us as investors, have the opportunity to ask that entrepreneur questions. After that, we have the ability to go and do our research. The fancy term for that is due diligence, but we do our research. We make sure that this is a company that we want to invest in. And at that point, each individual person can decide if they want to bet on that Black business, if they want to invest Black. And the minimum amount of money that you can invest in any and all of the businesses that are on the platform is $100. You can put more into a business. I will say that the SEC has a maximum that you will have based on if you're an accredited investor or an unaccredited investor. The accredited investors have more than $1 million of net worth, excluding their private residence, or there are some income requirements as well. Tawana's shaking her head, but that's on the SEC website, and we will make sure that you have the information so you know what bucket you fit into. And if you are an unaccredited investor, there's a calculation that will be on our portal so you know how much money you can put into all equity crowdfunding platforms and campaigns over a 12-month period. So the third thing that we have within the 10K Project is unique to us as well. I'm sorry, I didn't mention the investor education. We're going to have a lot of investor education, and a couple of slides further down, we're going to talk about what some of that investor education is, but we are very, very adamant about financial literacy on the 10K Project. We don't want you using your rent money, your mortgage money. If you don't have $400 for an emergency fund, if you have kids and you don't have life insurance, then you might not be ready yet for this. We are looking for economically stable people and people who have the disposable income to do this. So that's part of the investor education. So the third thing that we have, or the third group of people that we have, is the business support after funding. And we'll even say before, during, and after funding. So let's say a company raises $1 million. Now, what do? They need help. Accountants, attorneys, social media marketers, writers. We have a gentleman that's working with people who want to get on the shelves of Walmart and Target. We have people who run accelerators who teach you the basics of business and how to take this money and be a good steward of it and grow it 10, 20, 30x. One of the biggest things that our entrepreneurs need desperately are what I call super teams. And it's actually not my phrase. It comes from a woman named Erica Williams. But again, nobody grows these mega businesses or even a good, 5, 10, $20 million business by themselves. You need teams of people. Some people will be employees, other people will be independent contractors. And then over a 7 to 10 year period, you will see the businesses grow, and hopefully you will have a return on investment. This is called an exit strategy. So you can get your money back in a few different ways. Number one is the company could be sold. Number two is the company could go public. Meaning that it goes on the stock market. So you've heard of NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange and a company going public. That's one way that you can liquidate. The third way is the company can make so much money that they could decide to give dividends. That is a way. If they decide they don't want to go public and they don't want to sell, they can give dividends. And we are working on a secondary market. We'll talk more about that when we have that information pulled together, but that will be a couple of years out, I'll be honest with people with regards to that. So if you've heard of the term venture capitalist, the sharks on Shark Tank are venture capitalists, and guess what? Now, so are you, because at the 10K Project, we are the home of the everyday venture capitalist or everyday VC. So in order to be involved with the 10K Project, it does require membership. What does membership get you? It is a one-time payment of $100, and it gets you what Tawana calls a seat at the table. So many times we don't have a seat at the table. And if you heard Tyler Perry several months ago saying, let's build our own table, this is how we build our own table, by membership. So what does that mean? It means, number one, you'll get financial literacy education. On the next slide, we're going to talk about what that means and the financial literacy education you'll receive. And it gives you the opportunity to hear all the pitches and invest in all the deals on the platform for life. You'll never, ever be charged a membership fee again. And again, it's a one-time payment of $100. So what is financial literacy? What does it include? Making more money. How do you make more money? I'm talking to different people that will talk to you about how to get certain certifications and technology and in other areas of business and entrepreneurship, and how to take that information and make money with it. Increase your income, saving money. How do you reduce your debt? Repairing your credit, reducing your taxes, developing money savvy kids, anywhere from age 5, all the way up to your millennial young adults that are living on their own. How do you start family banks? If you were a member, we have a family, Black family, coming on July 30th in the evening to talk about how their family started a family bank 30 years ago with $25 per family member each, and how they have grown it to where they are today. And they're going to tell us all of this information from a culturally relevant point of view. So that right there is worth your $100 membership. Best practices for analyzing deals on the platform. So when we find out about these deals, we want you to know how to look at the business plan, how to look at the forms that the SEC requires, how to read the financials, and how to determine if it is a good investment for you. How do you build a strong investment portfolio, creating and preserving family wealth, and Group Economics 2.0. Tomorrow night, we're having part 2 of our discussion about Group Economics 2.0, and Talisha and I were on the first one. It's really good. So we'll give you the replay if you become a member, and we will invite you to tomorrow night's conversation at 7 p.m. So we have a few milestones coming up. We have our members only area that's open. We are in the midst of our publicity tour between now and the fall. We have hired Tom Joyner's old publicist, and he is working with us. He's doing a phenomenal job. He has gotten Dr. George Frazier, Alelia Bundles, who is the great-granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He's working on getting us a very, very well-known pastor in Texas that he knows. So we are we're starting to get some national exposure as well. We have our Investor Knowledge Center opening up on October 22nd. The business owners, if you want to raise money on the platform or you're at least thinking about it, we have a guide that's coming out on October 27th, and you will be able to read that and determine if crowdfunding is for you and if you want to crowdfund on the 10K Project platform. And then in the spring 2021, at the latest, we expect to have our approvals. We're praying to get them earlier. When the government says yes, we'll be ready. However, we wanted to give ourselves some time in order to make sure that you have time to get your financial literacy in, save up a little bit of money in order to participate in the investments. And we just make sure that we are, we're giving you a realistic time frame. So a few questions which I'll have Tawana talk about when she talks are, we do get questions about fraud. So we want to answer those. So Tawana, if you'll write down these questions about how do we prevent fraud, how do we get our money out of investments? I kind of talked about that before. And then is there an equity crowdfunding platform for Black entrepreneurs and investors? The answer is yes, it's the 10K Project. So I am going to ask, we have less than 500 spots left for our founding members. I believe that they'll be gone in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to be a founding member, please join us now. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can share the 10K Project with friends. And if you know any fraternity, sorority, church leader, pastor, anybody like that, we would love an introduction to them. info@the10kproject.com. That is it for my presentation. I am going to turn it over to the beautiful Tawana, and then everybody else, just, make sure you tell those of us who are watching why you are part of the 10K Project. So I'm going to start with Tawana.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. I'll just say that for me, the 10K Project is a very important undertaking because it truly can change the lives of a community, not just one or two people, an entire community. And right now the landscape is looking good for us, right? People are coming out of the woodwork with gifts for the Black community. Funding, people are finding funding for us. And I think it's wonderful, right? We get the assistance that we need, however we can get it. My only issue is, as quickly as these gifts have arrived, they can easily stop. And so we can't get comfortable. We need to continue to strategize for ourselves. We need to continue to build our own legacies so that we can empower the generations that come after us. And so the 10K Project helps facilitate that, right? We bring that investor together with that Black, and I'm going to say that Black investor. We do know that other investors can come in, but we're going to bring that Black investor to that Black entrepreneur and think about the change that'll happen in those two lives, right? The entrepreneur gets the funding that they need so they can grow their business, right? Start to realize their dreams. The investor gets to start building a portfolio or adding to an existing portfolio so that they can leave a legacy for their family. And so that's the community building that we're talking about. That's the changing of lives that we're talking about. And so the 10K project allows that to happen. We are the intermediary that brings those two entities together. Think of us as a glorified matchmaking service, right? We're bringing those two entities together, and love is in the air after that, right? And so, that's why this is really important to me. And I'm so grateful that all of you have joined us even tonight on this live. I think this is the biggest participation we've even had on a live.
Absolutely.
And so
every week.
That's beautiful. It's just wonderful that the message is getting out there and that you guys are giving us enough of your time to just learn more about it. So we definitely thank you. I will address the fraud question. We do get asked, well, how can you prevent fraud? Well, we can't prevent it, right? It could possibly happen, but here's what we do. In addition to some of the SEC requirements that are out there, we're going to do our own level of due diligence for the entrepreneur, right? So we're going to do our best job at making sure they're legitimate. It's a viable service. They've got a business model. If they have sales, we're going to look at all of that information. We're going to look at, their revenue, all of those things, right? Make sure they're legit. Then you have to do some research for yourself as well, right? Because it's not all on the SEC and it's not all on us. As an investor, you have a responsibility to make sure you're investing wisely and being informed with your investments. And so we welcome you to take part in all of the training that Cherie talked about, because there are going to be a lot of tools in those trainings that are going to prepare you to be able to do your part of due diligence. I also want to talk about, a couple of weeks ago, I compared or contrasted the fraud with failure. Sometimes companies won't make money because they just won't make it. And that's part of doing business, right? Every business won't be $1 billion business. Now, there are ways we can help as a community, right? We can become consumers of those products that are made in our community. We can become utilizers of those services that are provided in our community. And if we do that consistently, right? If we buy and invest Black, then they may have a darn good chance of becoming that $1 billion business. But the truth is, some just won't make it. Maybe they don't have the right team in place. Maybe the money we raise for them isn't enough. Maybe the market changes on them. Think about all the changes that happened with COVID-19 just these last few months, right? There are plenty of businesses that haven't been able to pivot because their model includes community and being in a room together. And now guess what? We can't do that anymore. So sometimes a business just won't make it. And that's not fraud, that's just failure, right? And even in that, there's going to be a lesson for that entrepreneur, right? Because we're going to provide training for them as well, right? They'll have access to business trainings and networks of people who can help them. So even if they are struggling, doesn't mean they don't get a second chance at trying to revive and revitalize that business. So even in failure, there could be some wonderful things that come out of that. But the truth of the matter is, yes, fraud could potentially happen. So we have to all do our job to make sure we prevent that from happening. And so if you're an entrepreneur that's interested in coming on our platform, one of the reasons why we're going to be very, very thorough, right, is because we want to minimize the fraud. So when we're asking for 1,000,001 things, don't get too mad at us, but we want to make sure that the investors are being taken care of as much as we possibly can. We owe it to them, right? We're bringing this community of investors here so that entrepreneurs, you can pitch to them. But we owe it to that community of investors to make sure you're legit. And so we're not going to take it easy on you. We're going to make sure you've got all your ducks in a row and all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. And we're going to do it through love, but we're going to do it. So just be patient with us.
Thank you so much. I always love the way that Tawana talks about the difference between fraud and failure, and that is true. So that's one of the reasons why you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, even on this platform. You want to build a portfolio, which is very important as well. So Dr. Keisha, since you have your mic on for us, let's hear from you.
Yes, I'm Dr. Keisha Waddell. I am the Chief Instructional Officer of the 10K Project. And as many of my co-founders mentioned their professional jobs, they talked about their professional jobs. I'm actually an educator. And I have to say that we keep talking about the education, and I really am excited about our platform because it's that I believe is its real unique function. We understand our community, and we understand it not just because we are a part of the community, but we've actually done our due diligence in the initial startup of this project by reaching out and hearing from our community. We still want to hear from you guys. And so what we've been doing in these past few months, I've just been very, very pleased with the people we've been introduced to, who have really, it's Black excellence that I'm all about in this space. And I'm telling you, we have met some folks of absolute excellence, and they have information they have been giving out to people in silos, I guess, somewhere. They've always been doing it. They didn't just start doing this stuff, but we have them all in one place here, focused in a way that will give such a grand impact to our community. So I'm really, really excited about that. Truly, we see our excellence in terms of our ability to create things and promote stuff, and we do it free. We do it free on the internet. This is our opportunity to really put our money down on some real businesses, and then do those same things for those businesses, be their ambassadors, as you learn different things. This is just tremendous. It's a big time two-way street, win-win situation. We already are, we have our swag and our ways that people copy all the time. Well, we can absolutely have our own advertising just out of our own community, and that is one big thing that will keep our new companies in the forefront of people's minds. And you are going to be a equity owner in that company under this particular platform. So it's an exciting time. I'm telling you, exciting time as to be Black right now, actually, and to even have this legislation that supports the whole idea of developing our communities, if we take that opportunity. So again, welcome to the 10K Project, and I absolutely hope you come with your excellence. You come to receive the excellence we've packaged for you. And again, just welcome.
Yeah. So we did not talk about some of the entrepreneur education that we are working on as well, which is superb. We are going to relinquish some of that information to the members, and then over time, on October 27th, we are going to have that knowledge center open for the entrepreneurs as well. I will say, even if you don't want to raise money, the stuff in there with regards to business credit and negotiating and how to write a business plan, there are soft skills in there, how to hire a team, how to fire somebody legally, all of that stuff that we typically aren't taught, but could get us in a lot of trouble or can help us make a lot of money. That's what we're going to have in there. So it's going to be super affordable. When I say super affordable, I mean super affordable. And even if you aren't raising money, you will be able to have access to that knowledge center, and we'll let people know how to do that as well. So Talisha, why don't we go with you?
Hello, I'm Talisha Shine. I'm the Chief Technical Officer here. I'm also the Community Manager of our Facebook group. And the 10K project for me is truly, again, the supporting of the back end. That's where I do the best work. And it's technology. We use technology immensely in our community, but we barely ever benefit from it besides just its usage. And here is the way for us to kind of maneuver through that and leverage the technology and to optimize our skill set at the same time. So that's what we're here to kind of give you the tools to support you and let you utilize all those things, but also in that platform that you're very comfortable and you use every day from, you know, your phone. Every day you're swiping, you're moving, you're sharing. You do all those same things every single day now with a true purpose. We're going to focus you in on that. And just to have that reiteration of the knowledge that you have, now you know what to do with it, why you're doing it, what you're looking for. So now pieces of content aren't just something to consume. They're something to use and leverage to, you know, get you to the next spot to see if this is a viable business for you. And as an entrepreneur, maybe this is how you work through your social media management. So there's a whole thing that you can learn, and it's very much from I consider it an ecosystem where we're learning and growing all together for the purpose of each other. So that's what the 10K project is. And so I welcome you and welcome your feedback in the group.
Thank you, Talisha. Talisha's the one that puts in all of that great content for everybody. And then Eric, our Chief Business Development Officer.
Hey everyone, Eric Spence, Chief Business Development Officer here at the 10K Project. I'll tell you, one reason why I'm here is because I have a strong belief in Black creativity, entrepreneurship, and Black inventors, and that synergy together, the results of what that's able to create together. I mean, you look back at those Black inventors like Gareth Morgan and Madam C.J. Walker and George Washington Carver. Now, you know, when we look at the time in which that we're in, and Talisha just talked about technology and being able to take all of those technological advancements that have happened over the last few decades and to be able to leverage those now on the behalf of the community together so that we can now, it's almost like adding real rocket fuel to a lot of the things that I believe that we're going to see accelerate over this next decade. So I couldn't be more excited. I'm just excited to just really hear those great ideas that we so often that we have historically always generated. But now this is the time for us as a community, and Tawana touched on that too, of just community involvement itself, where now those products that you really do believe in, now you can also use them, talk about them, share them, but also benefit from them directly. And at the same time, really help that Black entrepreneur who had that idea for them to then go on and see their dream. So this to me is just a great mixture of so many amazing things, and I couldn't be prouder.
Great. So we have a ton of questions here. We have some here in Zoom. We have some in Facebook. So I'm going to start off with a question by Joseph's. Why is credit card the only way to pay? It's very simple. We need a centralized method of making sure that we have all the members together. So yes, there is a checkout page and it does only take credit card, but it takes all major credit cards. So we're just asking you to bear with us. We didn't want to have multiple ways because then somebody might fall through the cracks, and we don't want to lose anybody's membership. So that was the reason for that. So from Facebook, there was a question here about how many current members are there? I know there are over 500. They're probably close to 550 now. So we are progressing along very, very quickly.
And this evening, Cherie, we just hit 3,000 people in our Facebook group.
Yay!
Yay!
Fantastic. Yes. Yes. So we've grown tremendously over the past couple of weeks. So I see Vanessa here. I see Natasha here. Donald is asking, what about helping with startups? So we have a couple of things that will be available in the community. It depends on what you want to do with your startup, what kind of startup you have. If you're asking, can you raise money as a startup? The answer is yes. When we present the guide to you, you will figure out what the criteria is. You can raise anywhere from $10,000 to $1,070,000 on the platform. So you, again, in that guide, we will break down if you're a startup, if you are a startup with just something, you know, written out on a piece of paper versus if you have a beta version somewhere or, you know, different things like that, what direction you can take within the 10K project. If you don't need funding, you could still join the entrepreneur side of the 10K project in that knowledge center and learn how to write your business plan. If you're trying to get something on the shelves of Walmart and Target, if you're trying to do other types of businesses, there will be support for you to help you accelerate your success. So is it possible that the $100 could be the total a person pays? In other words, is it possible to only pay, I guess, pay the $100? So the $100 for membership, yes, that is all you will ever have to pay is $100 for membership. Any investment that you choose to participate in is a minimum of $100 per investment, per company that you want to support. Would the 10K team be on board? Ooh, I'm sorry, now the chat's going by really fast. With new members to staff anytime soon? Possibly. We have right now, we have a pretty good team. So, you know, you can send us.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would ask Aaron to send us an email to tell us what he does.
Yes. info@b10kproject.com. info@b10kproject.com, Aaron. Can we raise capital for buying a franchise? You can apply, definitely apply. Again, in that guide that's going to be released on October 27th, we will have the criteria with regards to what is necessary for you to apply. Go ahead, Tawana.
So I was going to just say, I want to make sure I'm understanding that question that Will King just said. Can we raise money? Can we raise capital for buying a franchise? So Will, you would have to have a business model that supports that, right? So we're not going to ask the community to just give you an individual $30,000 because you want to buy a Burger King, right? But if you have a business that buys franchises, right, and you have a model built around that, then that's different. So this is not a fund, right? This is crowdfunding. And so I think that there's a differentiator that we want to make sure we talk about. You know, with a funds and fund managers give money to individuals or businesses so that they can, explore opportunities. This is crowdfunding. We invest in businesses that are already in existence. And so you would have to have some kind of business plan and model based on the purchasing of franchises, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't confuse things, but I wanted to flesh out your question.
Well, also, we will say that we favor businesses that are scalable and that have an exit plan. So, we're looking for businesses that are scalable. If you have a way to take that $30,000 and make it a $30 million company, that's really what we're looking for, because that's what our investors are looking for. But I would encourage you to get the guide. Get the guide on October 27th and read through it and see if it matches what you're thinking. So Lori is saying, if none of the businesses stand out for her, is the membership fee all that she would have to pay? The answer is yes. Yes, we are going for businesses that will stand out to you. And that's another great thing that I should bring up. This is not just going to be tech businesses. We may have technology one day, we may have a real estate project the next, we may have a food product, we may have an agricultural business, there's going to be a wide array of businesses, a wide array of exit plans. You may have somebody who's saying, I'm building this unicorn billion-dollar company that's going to be on the stock exchange. Then the next week, it may be somebody who has a cash cow business, and they, if they get into this business, they have the ability to bring in X amount of dollars per week, and it's a cash cow. So there'll be a wide array of businesses. So Lori, we're going for, and Eric is shaking his head here, he can comment if he wants, we're going for businesses where out of 5 of them, we're looking for 3 of them for you to say, that sounds interesting. I want to take a closer look at that one. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Eric.
yes, like that's actually it, Lori. Yes, like we are looking to really attract those great companies that we know are going to be profitable. So like there is a synergy in the sense of great product, great service, but also exponential upside. So that is a real big part of our criteria is attracting those sort of businesses to the platform.
Absolutely.
Wanted
Isaac
to
is
add
asking,
too,
how
Sherry.
about,
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, add to that whole idea of the type of companies that we want to have. Essentially, we want to have you guys kind of chomping at the bit, like, hey, I got my 100, I got my 100 for this one, for that one, for this one, and that one, and what you'll be doing is you'll be diversifying your portfolio. And as we talked about, as Sheree often teaches, that she's heard from her VC friends, is that, there are only so many that you can expect that are really going to blow up. So have your basket full. So
yes,
I want to tell
absolutely.
you, there are 2 questions also that are
I
waiting.
did see them. We have questions all over, so I
Yeah.
will get to the 2
Sure.
questions, I promise. So Isaac is asking, how about members being able to provide volunteer initial services for businesses? That's possible. So one of the things you'll be able to do in the portal is when you see a business that you may want to help, every business will have a contact button somewhere where you're able to contact an entrepreneur, let them know what you do. You want to be respectful of the entrepreneur. They may not need your services, even if it's volunteer, but we do know that the entrepreneurs are going to be looking for team members, whether full-time, part-time, independent contractors, etc. We are going to be building the network, and I know that was one of the questions in the Q&A. We're going to be building the network of service providers, and we will let people know on October 27th how to become part of that network. When we drop the guide for the business owners, one of the things we'll be able to tell them is this is how you can get your team for before, during, and after funding. And we will let you know on that day, and we will promote. I believe in over communicate. So you will hear it a bunch of different ways how you can be a part of that part of the business support before, during, and after funding. But you must be a member. You must be a member in order to be a part of that, because we're building an ecosystem. So
yeah, I don't mind taking the question about the annual tax form, because it's going to allow me to flesh out a little bit more information.
okay.
So the question says, will the 10K project send annual tax forms? An example is 1098 to members each year. And so the answer is no, the 10K project will not be sending tax forms, but I want to explain that. Remember I said we were the matchmaker, right? So we're the intermediary. We actually never touch your funds. They're not coming to us outside of that $100 membership for the seat at the table when we're talking about the investment dollars, right? So the actual investment dollars, we never touch them. You decide what business or what entrepreneur you want to support. You invest in that particular campaign, and those funds, when you initiate, you hit invest, those funds actually go directly to an escrow account that's set up for that entrepreneur. And once that campaign is over, as long as the entrepreneur met the goal that they laid out for themselves, at the end of the campaign, after all the paperwork is done and all the information is verified, they then get those funds, right? And so they do have obligations to file annual taxes and all of those things. And depending on the type of investment, if it's debt versus equity, then there are some tax requirements that they have. If they start giving dividends or interest payments, there's some requirements that they have around that as well. But that is where you will receive a tax statement from, if there is one to be, there's a requirement for one to be sent. You'll get it from the actual entrepreneur, not from the 10K project. So I didn't want to just say no without giving you all of that. I know that was a lot, but
I think that also ties into the next question that was there also with the $100, where is all the money going? That kind of touches it, but if you can go a little bit, expound upon that as well.
Absolutely. So the $100, the minimum, so as Sheree talked about, The minimum to invest in a business is $100. The premise is, if there are 10,000 people here in this community and we all like Acme Company #1, right? We love the product and service that they're providing. And we say, I want to put at least $100 on that because I believe that business can be something, right? The premise is, if we all do that and we all do the minimum of 100, we know that there's a maximum, but let's say we just do the minimum, then that entrepreneur is funded that $1 million. So right now, the law says they can get up to $1,070,000. As Cherie mentioned earlier, that is going to change soon to $5 million. And so that money that the entrepreneur receives is the funding that they will use to make sure they can grow their business, right? So when you say, what would be done with that money? That's the question you want to ask the entrepreneur, right? When they give their pitch and you get the opportunity to ask questions, you want to ask them, how are you going to utilize this funding? If it's $1 million or if it's 100,000, right? Because not everybody wants $1 million, not everybody needs $1 million, and not everyone will raise $1 million. So even if they want $1 million, we may say, I don't know. 5,000 of us may say, I think it's going to be hot. The other 5,000 may say, I'm not sure. So that investor may only get $500,000, right? And so whatever the amount is that they're asking for, I think part of that due diligence is us then asking, how are you going to utilize these funds, right? Because this is not just about a good idea. This is about, can they grow a business to make a profit, right? It's not just about the product or the service. It's about the person running it and the team behind them. So how are you going to use the money? Would be the first question I would ask. So I say, Joseph, hold that question, and every entrepreneur that we get that pitches, you ask that question to them. That'll be your question to ask every single time.
So Laurel is asking about being a currently bootstrapped B2B startup small business. How does the equity share work? I think that Tawana explained how that works. You as the entrepreneur will have the ability to decide how much equity you are offering. I will also say that you will be in competition with other people who are raising money on the platform as well. So you have to consider that. Within the guide that we're going to release on October 27th, there'll be more information with regards to that. Overall, how the law works with regards to how you present that information on the portal. I did see another question here. Oh, yes, Will asking, is there an opportunity for debt investors? The answer is yes. There will be some entrepreneurs that come on the platform that offer debt instead of equity. I will also say that there will be very special companies that offer debt. So in other words, if it's a tech product that should be growing in order to scale, in order to be sold one day or IPO, one of the things we'll put into the guide is, does debt offering make sense? And when we are talking and teaching on the investor side, there will be certain questions that we will have for you so that you can ask, does a debt offering make sense? Okay, we as a platform cannot tell you how to invest. And we as the platform cannot tell you how to be an entrepreneur. However, we are, like Tawana said, the matchmakers, and we do have a responsibility to make sure that we're matching appropriately. So let's see. Erin is asking here, I may have missed this comment, however, are you able to share the latest updates from the SEC? Do you just mean sharing like what the SEC's rules are? Tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that, Erin. And while you're answering that, I see a note in here. Stacy asked a great question. Will membership be closed after 10,000 members? The answer is no. We want 1 million members. That's Cherie's big goal. And I know that we can get it. 1 million Black people is less than 3%. And Eric talked about, I think you talked about it in our blockchain meeting, Eric, but the fact that it takes 3% of people in order to start a movement, can you expound on that?
Yeah, like the data shows that it only takes 3% of the population to start any kind of social movement. And I think about that because so often when we talk about change, I think many times we think that, you know what, we're going to need this amount of people. And I think we overestimate the amount of people that are truly needed in order to cause a real change to happen. The number is actually much, much smaller. So yes, I look at that because then that change then becomes applied into a business that, you know, you imagine 3% of us being very passionate about a business itself, you know, and how it's impacted our lives, a Black entrepreneur and what they're doing, and look at the exponential upside that could happen by our voices collectively looking and promoting, you know, such a business.
Okay. Tawana, I know you want to answer the next question.
Yeah, so Joseph, you clarified, you meant the $100 to become a member. What's going to be done with that $1 million? So this is a business, right? We talk about all of the education we're providing for the entrepreneur, all of the education we're providing for the investor, all of the marketing that it takes to get all of you beautiful people in here to join us, right? To hear this mission and to run this business. So that's what those funds would be used for, the membership funds. And, you know, attorneys and accountants. So when I say run the
I was
business,
about to say the attorneys as well.
Let's be
We
clear,
have all
right?
put money
So we
in.
have, yeah, so we started funding this business on our own, the 5 of us, right? Before the first $100 membership was paid, we were the fund. We were a fund then, right?
No, we were a startup. It's never fun. It's a startup.
Yes.
And as a startup, you put your own money in.
You put your own money in. And so, you know, we have attorney fees. We've got a wonderful attorney that is helping us through this SEC process. We have, you know, we're going to have an accountant here soon. We're vetting those right now. We are looking for a compliance officer, all of the marketing and the PR person. So this is a business, right? And that's what that membership money is used for. But that's also the reason why we only made that membership money a one-time lifetime fee, because for us, it was about getting this business off the ground and getting it started. It wasn't about an annual renewal of those monies, right? We're doing this because we know there's a void in the community for this. And we know we want to do our part at making that void close, right? Our job and our mission is to close that wealth gap, even just a little bit. We want to close it.
And I will say this, the more members we have, the better off we are, because imagine, you know, you have an entrepreneur, they are trying to get a meeting with somebody, and they come to this community and they say, I have been beating my head up against the wall, trying to get a meeting with the vice president of whatever at Marriott. You know, I've got XYZ. And someone in the community says, I'm the executive assistant to the XYZ person at Marriott. What do you have? You know, part of the reason why we are not as successful as we could be, and this is my opinion, is because we are so disparate. We're all over the place. We really, if we had a central hub where people were able to say, this is what I need in the business, and you have either other entrepreneurs or other investors or other people who care about that business saying, hey, you know, I can help you with that. All of a sudden, instead of 1 in 10 of our businesses doing well, we can have, you know, 9 out of 10 making it. And that was one of the conversations we had last week with an accelerator, a person who runs an accelerator. She said, we're trying to beat the odds of only 10% of our businesses doing well. But in order to do that, we've got to build teams and we got to work together. So the majority of that money, honestly, is going to marketing to get more people in the ecosystem. But it's not for us to be able to ride around. I drive a very modest car. I live in a very modest house. So do all of us. That is not us. It is because the power of this ecosystem and this community is built on the quality and the quantity of people that we have in here. So for the point where 6 degrees of separation becomes 1 degree of clicking on the 10K community and saying, this is what I need help with. And having 7 people say, I can help you with that. Meet me at the golf course, meet me here, meet me there, wherever.
And we're even seeing that, it's funny you say that, we're even seeing that with our small little community of a couple of thousand. I mean, that has happened with a couple of thousand people in this Facebook group. We've seen people put a call to action out because they needed something. And we've seen multiple people say, oh, I can help you with that. You know, inbox me or send me a note or what do you need? Or, I mean, so imagine when the community builds.
Yeah. So Vanessa Braxton is here. She's making sure that we let everyone know that investing is a long-term task and not an overnight success. So 7 to 10 years per investment is what you should expect. In other words, don't put in money that you can't afford to lose. Don't put in money that you need, next month. Don't believe you're going to put in $100 into this company and get 30 gajillion dollars, because it doesn't work that way either. Okay. But over a 10-year period, you could have a nice portfolio of companies. And from there, we're hoping that you have a couple of unicorns and a couple of cash cows in there where you're like, wow, I have something. I'm going to be able to bless my kids. I'm going to be able to, leave some sort of generational wealth to them, etc. So let's see here. I see, are you able to share the latest updates from the SEC? That was Aaron's question.
Oh, Aaron clarified.
That was clarification. I read the booklet provided that the 10K project was awaiting approval from the SEC to be an official crowdfunding portal. However, I am not misremembering. No, you aren't. Okay, just looking for updates. Yes. So the update is that we are applying for our crowdfunding platform. We, are actively, like 3 times a day, contacting our attorney, and we are going through that process. So we are working as quickly as possible and praying that the SEC works as quickly as possible, back with us. But it is the U.S. government. So,
and Aaron, just to let you know, the platform is already built. So the back end is fully functional at this point. It just has to be legitimized and go through also that SEC approval to make sure. But at this point, it is all done and ready and just waiting very anxiously for entrepreneurs to come and make
for
a market.
The SEC.
Yeah.
So RJ is saying, does the company take a commission fee upon releasing the funds to the entrepreneur? So the way that it works is that an entrepreneur will apply, and there will be an application fee for you to apply to be on the platform. It'll be very small. Then if you were accepted, you will have to pay another fee in order to get on the platform. That fee is used to make sure that you are ready to be on the platform. Your business plan is ready, which is required by the SEC. All of the SEC forms are ready. We have spoken with other people who have worked with other platforms, and the hand holding that they do is, my understanding is it's not, they don't hold your hand.
It could be better.
It could be better. Yes. And there are so few of us on those platforms. It's very difficult. We've spoken to other Black entrepreneurs that have tried to get on those platforms. You will not understand how difficult it is for our entrepreneurs to get on those platforms. So then when you get on there, you're just, a lot of times left to yourself, right? We don't want that. So we're investing heavily in customer service and making sure that you know how to use the technology, and making sure that you have access to pitch coaching so that you can present in the best possible light, etc. Again, we are investing so much money back into you as entrepreneurs and investors, okay? Then once you raise money, we do get a percentage of the raise. All of these fees will be talked about in the guide to raising money on the platform. Our platform also will take a percentage, a very small percentage of your of shares as well. Now, I will say all of the fees that we have are standard amongst all the platforms. We haven't deviated at all from the platforms in regards to the entrepreneurial fees. And what we're doing is we are using these fees and investing back into you so that you can be as successful as possible. So let's see here. So Erin is saying, yes, crowdfunding. Awesome, Talisha. I hope to be in contact with you. So Erin wants to talk to you, Talisha.
Yeah.
Lori's asking, will there be specific dates and times for the entrepreneurs to give their pitch? We are talking about that and we will let you know, but we will give investors plenty of notice when the entrepreneurs will be doing their pitches. We will give
Plenty of reminders.
plenty of notice. We will send you plenty of communications when the entrepreneurs are doing their pitches. And even after the pitches are done, if you miss it live, there will be a replay available. You will be able to contact the entrepreneur after they've given their pitch, after you've read their business plan, et cetera. There's gonna be a lot of opportunity for you to vet and do your due diligence and make sure that this is the investment that you want to make. So Delano here on Facebook is asking, will you be able to pitch your own startup investment fund on this platform? We haven't spoken about that, Delano. Let us come back to you.
I don't know that I understand the question.
Delano wants to have his own startup investment fund, and he wants to know if he can raise money on 10K Project for his own startup investment fund. He wants to do his own fund, but
Understood.
he wants to raise some money through the 10K
I think we'd have to check
We
with
have to come back
the
to
SEC
you
attorney
with
to make sure that that would be a viable, not a viable business, but that would be a business model that doesn't conflict somehow.
Yeah, and we have to come back to you with the answer. We have to check with the attorney, we have to check with the SEC, we have to look at our own business model and make sure that that makes sense. So
what's Delano's last name so I can?
Bogle, B-O-G-L-E, and this is on Facebook. This is our Facebook main page.
Okay.
So, okay. All righty then. I think we got everyone's questions. We had a lot of questions tonight, but you all asked some great questions this evening. If you need us, if you have more questions, please email me, info@the10kproject.com. That's info@the10kproject.com. Delano was saying it's a real estate fund. So
okay.
He just wanted you to know that. So we'll get back to you with regard to that. That's a great question. We will get back to you with regard to that. Thank you so much to all of you for hanging in there with us. And, we do this every Monday evening at 6 p.m. We come on live to talk with you, answer your questions. Please invite a like-minded friend, coworker, church member, anybody like that, because we are looking to grow our network with like-minded people. Thank you so much. God bless you. Hope you have a wonderful, happy evening. Take care of yourself this evening. Bye-bye.